Hello and welcome to this week's The Story of a Poor Boy. I'm Mikey, and in the absence of Matt, we have...
Jamie, hello.
Yes. Matt's done a runner because he hates me, but we are not going to miss this week because, well, we missed too many weeks. So what we're going to talk about is we're going to look back at the Arsenal game and then have a look forward to Burnley, talk a little bit about what's been going on this week with Bury and Bolton, and if we are still recording, because we're recording this on Wednesday night, if we're still recording when Liverpool have their Carabao Cup draw, then we will give some reaction to that as well. But for now, let's talk about what we know, which is Saturday's result against Arsenal, a convincing 3-1 win, a convincing performance.
Yeah, it was really good. Last 3 years on the bounce, Liverpool's home games against Arsenal have just been that convincing wins. I like to think my little superstitious not attendance of the game has definitely done its job.
Yeah.
But that's like, there was no doubt at all when you could just tell when the game kicked off. It was just that intensity was there. The whole, if there was any doubts from the first couple of games, it just didn't look like there was anything there. Liverpool had a game plan and they were gonna go for it. Yeah,
you can see a real gulf in class between what is a very good team in Arsenal and what is a great team in Liverpool in this game.
Yeah, exactly. That's what everyone was saying. People were hoping that the gulf between the other clubs and Liverpool and City would be matched this year. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Arsenal and Liverpool were the only two, 3 games in, they're the only two teams that had the 100% records. This was Arsenal's chance to show, right, we can be seen up there with Liverpool and City. And, they tried to contain Liverpool. You could see they had their game plan of narrow, leaving the two up top with our centre-backs. And it almost worked, but as you said, there was just that difference in just the quality of players that you could just see, couldn't you?
I think the first thing that Arsenal do right out the gate is they set up differently to everyone's expecting. So everyone's expecting the standard 4-3-3, and as you say, they go narrow in midfield with a diamond, and basically the Brendan Rodgers formation from 2014. With a 3-man midfield and then basically trying to have 3 attackers. And it hasn't worked this time in the fact that Liverpool are just pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing. And to the point where Arsenal are dispossessed in the first half more times than they have been in the last 10 years.
Really?
Yeah. They're dispossessed in their own half more than they have been in the last 10 years. Like,
what, in one go?
Well, in terms of no one has taken the ball off of Arsenal in their final third as much as Liverpool have. And it's testament to how fit our lads are to manage a game like that, and it's also testament to their patience in that Liverpool don't score until the 41st minute.
God, yeah. I mean, it also makes you wonder, why Arsenal would think the game plan at Anfield would be any different to Liverpool pressing them. Yeah, you could just, whenever they had a goal kick, they would play it short, and you could see there's a great shot of, they're playing it out from defence, and Trent is marking Monreal, I think, and that's just how there's your fullback marking their fullback on a goal kick. How did they think it was going to go any differently? Have they not learned over the past 3 years?
Yeah, it's a strange one because Trent even speaks about that in the post-match press conferences where he's talking about how it was Liverpool's game plan basically that him and Robertson would push up and mark against the fullbacks while Fabinho drops in between the centre halves. That's straight from goal kick. So immediately Liverpool have basically said, right, we're going to push them high up, and we're just going to not let them breathe. And it works really well, but as I say, Liverpool don't score till the 41st minute, and there's a bit of the game where you're sitting there and you're thinking, Arsenal are playing really well here, Arsenal defending really well. And what Arsenal did is, it's a classic tactic, and I've spoke about this at length this week to anyone who will listen, really, is that Jose Mourinho used to have this tactic where he would say, he worked on it when he was at Inter Milan.
Right.
And it was basically, when it was how to deal with Barcelona when they were in their pomp under Guardiola, and what he said was, you can have the flanks, because at the time Barcelona played quite narrow.
Is this when they had
with
Alves
and Alba on the flanks? And what they used to say, what he basically said is, all right, have those flanks, and what we're going to do is we're going to defend within the width of the penalty areas, and we're just going to compact it so that you don't have any space to play these intricate passes that will get a man in between Messi and, at the time, I think it's David Villa and Pedro, something along those lines. And it worked for them.
Is this the year that Inter won?
Yes, exactly. It's the year Inter win. I think Barcelona still win 1-0, but Inter.
This is the setup at the new camp?
Yeah. And it's similar to what Arsenal have decided to do in this game.
It's putting a lot of trust on David Luiz and.
Well, this is the thing.
I keep pronouncing this. What is it? Socrates, not Socrates.
He's not getting called Socrates. He's not getting named after one of the best footballers of all time. No, it's very interesting in the fact that Socrates. There you go. Socrates and David Luiz are very limited in their quality. So when you're talking about when you're talking about playing a defensive formation like that, something where you need a bit of intelligence. Yeah. The first names that jump out when you speak of defensive intelligence, they aren't David Luiz and they aren't Socrates, and it's definitely not Granit Xhaka either, who's playing further forward, or Guendouzi.
I'm surprised Xhaka started, because I swear, from what I saw from anything on social media, it was him not starting that game.
Lucas Torreira is Arsenal's most impressive player. I said last week, I asked Matt who would be the one player that you would have from Arsenal to improve this Liverpool team, and my answer was Lucas Torreira, because I really do rate him. I think he adds a bit of bite to our midfield. I mean, he comes on and scores, but
the whole formation changes. The fact that they didn't have the front three, because I just thought they were trying to emulate Liverpool's front three, and it would make sense, Lacazette and two, Pepe and Aubameyang on the wings. But as you say, when Torreira did eventually come on, but that was far later when the damage had been done. 61st
minute he comes on.
Oh, was it the 61st?
61st when Liverpool 3-0 up.
Yeah, so the damage had been done.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's game over at that point. Daniel Ceballos comes off.
Oh, he was. Everyone raved. I mean, he probably still is a decent player, but I think just you could tell the occasion got to him.
But this is the thing, isn't it? Between he's a very good footballer. Yeah. Ceballos, he's highly rated, but he played very well in his first game for Arsenal.
Wasn't it? He got man of the match last week
against Burnley. Gets 2 assists.
Yeah,
plays very well. But that's against Burnley at the Emirates.
Yeah,
and then you come to Anfield, and you can't come with this attitude of, well, I'm just gonna dribble past your midfield, because this isn't a typical midfield. This is a midfield that has literally been conditioned to running and running and running and running and running and pressing and pressing and pressing and pressing. And it might not get the assists that other midfielders do. I mean, for example, Ceballos himself gets 2 assists on his debut. This time round, he's not given the chance.
He gives us an assist nearly.
Yeah, very nearly. It is strange. Unai Emery has he's not the first manager to come to Anfield with a different game plan to try and stop Liverpool. Guardiola did it last season, where he basically changed how Man City play football, and he went, all right, I'm happy with a point, and that was a massive compliment to how good Liverpool are now that the Man City manager felt like he could do that. But that he had to do that, and now the Arsenal manager's doing it as well, and it just goes to show you that they went with 2 very different approaches there, but they every manager will have their own ideas about what will work to stop Liverpool, and so far, very few have found the right formula for it.
Yeah.
Which is good for us, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Liverpool do go ahead through Joe Matip.
It's a cracking header, isn't it?
It's a fantastic header. It's a great cross from Alexander-Arnold,
Yeah.
which he wasn't exactly putting a lot of
the
crosses in. He was getting crosses in the box, but they weren't always of the best quality.
That's what I felt. It's just because obviously they let us have the flanks. Whenever Trent did put a ball in, it wasn't even like we had a shot and something came of it. It was either just like easily cleared away or overhit. So that was the thing. It just did, at that time, up until the 41st minute, you just didn't think. It's not that he was off, but.
And this is what I'm talking about when I say about the Mourinho tactic of letting you have the flanks, because when you put a decent ball in, there are normally 4 defenders within 18 yards of each other ready to clear the ball out, and there's very little space, so the cross has to be inch perfect onto a pinhead kind of quality, and we weren't quite there. Andy Robertson very nearly gets a couple right, but the one that does come right is from the corner. It's a great header from Joel Matip, otherwise it's a penalty.
I was going to say, I think Joel Matip is able to get that great run at the ball, because both, is it Socrates and
David Luiz.
It was David Luiz. I was about to say Guendouzi. The Afros must have. But yeah, the two of them just holding on. Like Verge, whilst Matip gets the ball in the back of the net, Verge is just complaining to the referee, just arms up like, ref, what's happening?
Facing the completely
wrong way. I don't think he realised we'd actually scored.
No, exactly. But, I mean, it's a goal for Joel Matip, who has been pretty incredible this season.
He deserves that spot over Gomez, because I think everyone thought once Gomez was fit and that he actually had that start as well recently, that was it. He was getting that was going to be the centre back pairing again, and then I think after Matip and the the Charity Shield,
Community Shield,
when he scored, and
scores.
Since then it's just been like, he's been fully deserved. He's had close to in your ratings, didn't you have him as nearly man of the match?
Nearly man of the match. I give it to Verge because of the way Verge responds in the second half to being dribbled past. But one thing that does have to be said about Matip is that he has come in leaps and bounds. He looks like the player that we thought we were getting originally, and he was that player for about 3 months. We all thought he was a world beater, and then he gets a couple of injuries. He's never quite back to where his normal level. Well, what is his best level anyway? Maybe not his normal level, but his best. And now we're seeing a fully fit Joel Matip, and he is. I mean, over the last couple of games, he's matching Virgil van Dijk stride for stride, and that's saying something, because Virgil van Dijk's the best defender I've ever witnessed. So, fair play to him. Fair play to Jolie.
He's stepped up, and it's made up that he's done this. And hopefully as well, this might be a future thing for our corners, is that defenders are so focused on Van Dijk. Just aim for Matip.
Well, that's it, isn't it? At the end of the day, I mean, if you have somebody who is a proper aerial threat, then people will focus on it. It's like when Liverpool used to have Peter Crouch.
Yes.
And people would mark Peter Crouch and then they'd leave their kite completely empty. And it's that kind of, you have to be smart about these kind of things. And when Arsenal don't really have anyone of a great aerial presence,
they're not a tall team, are they?
No, they're not. They're not a very physical team at all, and they will get found out at points this season because they're not a very physical team. For example, I don't fancy them to be Tottenham this weekend because of that. Isn't it? But because of that, because of the fact that Tottenham are a stronger team, a more conditioned team to do the kind of run Liverpool do, just on a bit of a smaller scale. Yeah. I think. Right there, I think Arsenal will struggle against Tottenham. I mean, they'll cause Tottenham problems as well because they're quick. But
it's probably going to be I think it'd be like a high-scoring game.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean,
or just a 0-0.
That's the tradition, isn't it? No, I think. I mean, I'm talking about Arsenal causing Tottenham problems. Arsenal caused Liverpool a lot of problems in this game.
I think it was mainly Pepe caught. Is that
he did? He gets away from Virgil van Dijk and then falls over himself. About 5 seconds later, but the internet's not focusing on the falling over himself. And from that point on, Virgil van Dijk just goes, right, okay.
Nope.
No, none of this again.
You could say
none of this.
I think when I was watching it on the telly, like the commentators are like, look, you know, Van Dijk's not, he's stepping off from him, he's not diving in because he's worried about what Pepe's going to do. And she's like, no, it's proper person management. It's
how you defend.
And you see what happens when you do it wrong with the chance that he gets through and he just skips past Robertson. When Henderson fails to clear it, Robertson, he dives in. Mm-hmm. And Pepe, nice quick feet, good close control. He's straight in one-on-one, and it's a very poor shot. Look, obviously Adrian's got he does his job, but it's a poor shot in the end.
It's a really strange thing that, I mean, you've mentioned there about how commentators and pundits have been saying about Van Dijk, how he needs to be a bit more of a front foot defender, and it's something that Robin van Persie said on the first week of the season. He said, like, he asked Rio Ferdinand, like, because he basically said to Ferdinand that Ferdinand used to just go forward and read the danger before it happened and react to react to the presence of a striker, and he'd just go and win the ball before something else could happen. Whereas Van Dijk has a more standoff approach, and he doesn't rush into a tackle.
Well, that's what everyone moans about. Sorry, but you know about the whole stat, the stupid stat of he hadn't been dribbled against. A lot of opposing fans are like, well, that's because he doesn't go in for a tackle. He just stands there. But that's the point. Like,
the thing is, there's an old saying from Paolo Maldini, which is, if I have to make the tackle, I've already made the mistake.
Yeah.
And that is from somebody who absolutely adores, like, the art of defending. I think seeing a perfectly timed tackle is as good as seeing, you know, somebody nutmeg 3 players and lash it in the top bin.
Yeah.
It's as good as that in the fact that there's so much timing in it, and there's so much patience and waiting for your right moment, and Fabinho and Virgil van Dijk are two of the best at it in terms of winning the ball back at just the right time and tackling at just the right time. It's why Jamie Carragher was one of my favourite footballers ever. But Virgil van Dijk will step off and he'll give himself a yard, and that is intelligence, because he knows he's got the pace to catch up with Nicolas Pepe. He does it regularly throughout that game, but it's the fact that he allows himself that yard so that he can read the.
So he doesn't have to do it in the first place. He doesn't have to chase after him.
Exactly, he doesn't have to chase after him. Yeah, all right, he backs off. I don't care if Virgil van Dijk backs off, because at the end of the day, how many people get a shot off back against Virgil van Dijk?
Yeah,
that's what matters. What key ball comes out of take on with Virgil van Dijk? And if no one can get a pass off or a shot off, then he's done his job as far as I'm concerned. So, you know, I don't know if it's maybe that it's ironic, isn't it, that the pundits who are saying it mostly are Robin van Persie, Rio Ferdinand, and Gary Neville.
Yeah.
Oh. Where's the correlation there? You know, we're talking about Man United players. Maybe they just after him being a bit complacent. But I mean, we do see what happens when you lunge in as a defender. When David Luiz stupidly tries to take the ball off of Mo Salah for Mo Salah's second goal, and Mo Salah goes round him, runs 30, 40 yards, and slots it in the bottom corner, because that's how good he is. And if Nicolas Pepe or Aubameyang do that to Virgil van Dijk, then it's a completely different conversation you're having. Yeah. But because Virgil van Dijk's the best defender in the world, he's not going to do that mistake.
No. Should we go to Salah's goals?
Yes, that makes sense, doesn't it? Actually, while we're talking about Joel Matip, I just wanted to mention he makes an absolutely
his recovery
fantastic
run. I was just thinking that, because it's like they play the whole offside, you know, what you were saying beforehand. Oh, it's a pen. Oh. Offside thing, and Aubameyang is offside. And it's just sort of that moment of, you know, Matip's the closest one. Once they realise the flag isn't going up, the burners are on. Yeah. And Matip makes that ground.
On Aubameyang as well, who's regarded as one of the quickest players in the Premier League.
Yeah, to get the corner. To block the shot to get the corner. Although I said this to you, I don't know how that would work from... what's a bit of a scrap going on?
Sorry,
what happened?
He scored the pen and then tried to get the ball, and Lincoln were fuming.
But yeah, it's because I said to you, didn't I? I was just like, so he was offside in the build-up to that. If he would have scored, VAR would have correctly ruled that offside. But, goes to the corner, if Arsenal would have scored from that corner, they've gained an unfair advantage from,
it's a different topic, and we can't get into VAR because we've discussed it at length.
No, it's not the VAR I've got a problem with. It's the linesman.
It's the use of it.
I was going to say it's the linesman not putting the flag up, because surely he let it play. if Aubameyang scores, then you put the flag up.
No, I think genuinely he's missed the offside. I think that's what's happened in that situation. If he knows it's offside, he'd lash the flag up in that point. He still lashes the flag up.
So he's actually made the mistake.
But the rules are basic. Well, the rules should be, as it stands, that you let play continue, and then it goes back if it's correctly ruled for off. If it's ruled for offside, or VAR will correct it or whatever. But what happens in that instance is I think the linesman just misses it completely, and then it does bother me because Arsenal have gained a clear advantage from it. But at what point do you say you're using VAR too much? How far do you take it exactly? I mean,
it's like do you get a corner if the ball actually came off the player? You know, when you see goal kicks, corners given when it wasn't.
Exactly. Do we review throw-ins whenever a ball nearly goes out for a throw-in? Do they go and review whether a ball came out or not?
I mean, they did do that.
It happened in the Champions League last season, exactly. It's just, how far do you take it? Yeah, I guess we'll see. I think we need to iron out the basics before we start going into the intricacies.
Other problems.
Yeah, exactly. What I will say is, though, we're talking about Mo Salah's now instead. VAR wasn't needed for a very obvious share pull.
Not to David Luiz.
David Luiz talks about it as if he's the victim in all of this. He makes a quite obvious share pull on one of the best players in the world who is about to tuck the ball in.
Yeah.
I've got to say credit to the referee because the advantage is there to be played.
Oh yeah.
In the fact that Salah still got the ball in the penalty area.
I think I credit to Salah because you think he could have very easily just gone down. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't. He stays on his feet, and as you say, the ref just straight away goes, "No, that's a foul."
Yeah.
You know, Salah's shirt is normal sized. Contrary to David Luiz, you know, it's a big shirt or whatever. But I think what helps from that play, what leads up to the pen, is sort of like a change in not the tactics, because they still use the whole, you know, playing from the flanks, but rather than crossing the ball in, they play it on the floor. Mm-hmm. And it's that, you know, Trent. It still leads from Trent. Does he get the assist, or does it pass it to someone else
it's
first?
into Firmino, then lays it off to Salah.
So it's that play. It's still coming from the wings. Firmino is obviously coming back as his proper centre forward role, laying off to Salah in this case, but I think there was a few times just that play and it worked.
That's the thing with Liverpool is Liverpool do have the ability to mix things up, and it is something that isn't really credited with the fullbacks, is that whilst they're both really good fullbacks, they're very good footballers first and foremost.
They've got the brains, haven't they?
Yeah, exactly. Trent Alexander-Arnold could quite happily play centre midfield and he'd do a good job there if he played there over the course of the season. Obviously that's been talked about a lot. But I do think that he does have the ability to do that if he ever fancied it. Andy Robertson, I don't think gets the credit he deserves for his quality, because whilst he is a left back, he could very easily again slot into a whole midfield role. He'd press all day long, and he's a very good, intelligent footballer. And a little ball inside like that one that you're talking about from Trent, just to mix things up a little bit. Play football in front of the Arsenal back line instead. Liverpool benefit directly from it again, and maybe it's a bit of complacency from Arsenal at that point, but
I think it was just, if you could have bet on David Luiz making a mistake, like because of the Arsenal defence as well, it's just like you think, you know, they want someone to shut up their defence, especially in this fixture, you know, one of the highest scoring fixtures. Or is it the highest scoring fixture in the Premier League?
No, it's one off.
And, you know, they've got David Luiz in defence, who is literally plays hot and cold. And
well, I mean, you say that, he hasn't played hot in a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was something I did say when Arsenal signed him, is I don't understand it, because it's like they have this old database of just strikers. They have this computer that their scouts haven't updated in a long time, and it's just stuck on the striker filter, and they can't seem to get it back to defenders and goalkeepers. So what they do is they Google the word defender and just see what comes up and that they can afford
on their Internet Explorer.
On their Internet Explorer, exactly. So they're sitting there thinking David Luiz is still,
Still
in in prime David Luiz, the one who Conte got the best out of for that one season. Whereas he's actually the David Luiz we all know and love to make fun of. He can't defend. No. He's an absolutely awful centre half.
It's just such a child, like that sort of tug.
And then don't fucking pull someone's shirt like that
in the penalty box.
Blatantly.
Yeah,
because it's not even like he's running with Salah. He just kind of pulls him back because he's
like the sort of foul that you see on like in the centre circle. If someone's breaking, you just pull him, and pull him.
It's a very easy yellow card to give away.
He still gets the yellow card, which helps the second goal happen as well.
Yeah, I mean, even then we're talking before about Virgil, and then. As I've already said, it's really poor from David Luiz because he just completely misjudges what he's got to do. He's trying to. That's exactly what he's trying. He's trying to do. Defend from the front foot, and he's trying to nick the ball away before Salah has a chance to get it round him. And if you can do it right, and certain defenders can, Ferdinand was quite good at it, to be honest. I think it's something Ramos is really good at as well, to be honest. If you can get it right and you can read the game like that, great. David Luiz doesn't have the ability to do anything near that.
He just has no need to do it because he's near the touchline, basically near the halfway line as well. There's no need, Yeah, exactly. There's no need to
just show him wide. Just show him wide at that point.
Stand him up.
Exactly. Basically. You just stand. You drop 4 yards. Yeah. You drop 4 or 5 yards.
Wait for your full-back to come back and cover. Because I don't know where was it? I don't know Monreal. I don't know where he disappeared. Because it was a great ball from Fabinho. That was it. I think they're pressing us, and it's just dead quick. Trent, Fabinho.
They do, because it all stems from Adrian playing a ball out to Trent while he's under pressure.
Yeah.
I think while I mentioned that, actually, I think that's something that Adrian probably isn't getting the credit for at the moment. Is his passing range?
Well,
his passing from the back is really, really benefiting Liverpool at the moment. In the fact that we aren't missing Alisson as much from our build-up play as we possibly would do with, for example, Simon Mignolet in goal.
Apart from the one single mistake he's made from playing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the Southampton one, you learn from that. You don't do it again. Yeah. Alisson tried to skim Iheanacho against Leicester,
and it fails. Yeah,
it fails miserably, and we've seen that, and Alisson's never tried it again since.
Yeah.
So
he's not going to.
You do learn from this kind of thing, and I think. Adrian, with all of his years of experience, he's probably not used to playing. Well, he's definitely not used to playing with the quality of footballers he's with right now. So he thinks he can get away with a little bit more. He won't be doing that again in any kind of hurry.
But no, because I think it comes from. I can't remember who, but it is play from the left. It comes to Adrian. The pressure comes Trent, and then Fabinho just whips that ball first.
I mean, I'm saying all this about Adrian. He does make a mistake in the first half that allows where he just completely ignores. And
you said, didn't you? Was it Matt was saying on the cop?
Yeah, Matt was fuming with Virgil van Dijk. He's like, Van Dijk should be dealing with that. And I'm like, lad, are you kidding? Van Dijk is putting his arms out and he's just saying, no, don't do it. You don't need to do it. And then
he has to just get out of the way of an on-rushing Adrian, who just has to slide because he's got two people in the way.
Yeah.
And
gives the ball to Aubameyang. It's lucky Aubameyang's controls put, and it's also lucky that Virgil van Dijk gets out to him as quickly as he can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we're talking a lot about Adrian there when I said he's had a pretty good game. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to concede the goal late on.
I think it's just another one of those, maybe taking a step off the pedal and 3-0 up. What was it, the 85th minute that they scored?
Yeah, something like that.
It's not like Liverpool was still. I can't think of any other massively clear cut chat. Like I can't remember any. This is really bad. I can't remember any massive saves like maybe Leno done.
Well, this is the thing. I mean, Liverpool do have 25 shots, but only 5 shots on target.
Yeah,
14 shots are blocked.
I think that's where it's just loads are just from outside the box, and because a lot of them were from the first half when you know, I think that frustration of, I think the first one was Bobby. Sorry, Mikey's got his head in his hands because Lincoln have just missed a really good opportunity to equalise against Everton.
Sorry, carry on.
But yeah, I think Bobby just tries a shot out of nowhere, and you know, thinking this is the frustration. The crosses aren't working. Arsenal's game plan is working. And then that, like, you started to see that more and more often. You know, just shots outside the box. The one shot that I think everyone was begging to go in, where Bobby flicks the ball over Ceballos.
It's a... Oh my God, what a goal! Oh. I mean, that doesn't make for good podcasting at all, but fucking hell, what a strike. Sorry, we've got the Everton-Lincoln game on in the background, and Lincoln have just scored their second, and I swear to God, I've never hit a ball hit so well. Well, except for Harvey Barnes against Sheffield United on the weekend for Leicester. Yeah. But, I mean, just watch this back. Whilst you watch this back, I will just say, if Firmino had managed a volley of that quality... Oh, my God! If Firmino manages a volley of that quality, then, yeah, I mean, town forever. I'd still be in Pop World now, and I wouldn't have put coach back on yet.
I sent Mikey a clip. I was just like, did you see Firmino's trick? And I sent him a little clip of him flicking it over his head, and Mikey was just like, yes, I'm still pairing over it now at half time.
Oh, fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. What a strike that is.
Yeah, back to Liverpool.
No.
Like, I think Arsenal's goal is just it's that change of formation that I said, you know, that Lacazette comes on, Torreira is on, so I think it's a complete change of formation. So, you know, they've still got Guendouzi and who did he take off? Is it Willock? Is he the midfielder for Arsenal? Am I getting mixed up?
Joe Willock, yeah.
Joe Willock, and he brings, as I say, Torreira on to play behind, you know, I guess as the cam. And yeah, it's just, I think it's unfortunate Henderson gets so close to getting back and blocking it. You know, when Torreira's coming in. Yeah. You can probably argue maybe it should have been sorted out before Aubameyang gets into the box. But
I think there's an argument in this case that the changes that Jurgen Klopp make, like, he's been very good for his changes.
These were random changes that he made.
Well, I mean, you say that. I mean, the random one is Adam Lallana.
I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Adam Lallana coming on up front is an absolutely, like, it's a mystery. I'll never understand it. Particularly as we all thought Adam Lallana was going to be playing as number 6 this season.
Yeah, and he is up front. Because I guess Milner for Gini.
I think Milner for Gini really... No, well, you say that. Oh. I think it really destabilises Liverpool. I think Wijnaldum was really helping putting the pressure on, and I don't think Milner was quite at the tempo of it, because if you think about it, you come on and you have to get up to speed, it takes you a couple of minutes, and I don't think Liverpool ever fully recovered from Wijnaldum going off.
Yeah.
So... I mean, I'm not saying James Milner's not a smart decision, you know, experienced professional, bringing him on at that point. But I do think there's maybe a question of, you know, maybe Oxlade-Chamberlain's the change to make at that point. Maybe you're looking at Divock Origi for Firmino instead, and, you know...
Maybe Shaqiri for Mane instead of...
Exactly. Maybe you're looking at something like that instead. But I do think Milner just... Whilst it probably makes sense in terms of seeing the game out and maybe you don't press as much... You instead see Liverpool just drop off, and maybe it just
think the game's completely won.
Yeah, exactly, and I think that's a problem. But at the same time, a team like Arsenal with the quality, you know, they're always going to threaten to score goals. And
when they scored, it's one of the only times I said to Mikey, I said, the only times I'm nervous if there is like a relatively late goal is Arsenal or City, just because their attacking prowess is that good that they could very easily, if you switch off, they could score.
Arsenal had the ability to get more goals than they did as well, and I think that there is something in that, especially when they bring on Lacazette.
That's what I mean.
Do you know what I mean? They bring on Lacazette in the 81st minute. I can't believe you waited till the 81st minute to bring on a player of that quality, but I'm not Arsenal manager. If I was, I wouldn't be starting David Luiz and Socrates at the back away at Liverpool. But there you go.
Not really got the best options, has he?
No, exactly, he's not. I mean, I think that we could talk about this game for ages. It's one that's really interested me in terms of what Arsenal is set up to do. But I think it's probably best if we move on. Been covered 35 minutes on that.
Wow.
So yeah, exactly. So man of the match.
Who do I think was man of the match? I think I did like Matip more.
Yeah.
Because I think Van Dijk just wasn't. Obviously, he did step up, and he was just like, "I'm not having any of it with Pepe."
Mm-hmm.
I think Matip did step up. Salah, you could just tell, was absolutely hungry, and he was just gonna show up everyone. Firmino played. They all played well. There was not a fault. I think you got your match ratings pretty spot on. So yeah, I'm probably gonna go with Matip. I think
that's fair. That's fair. I'm gonna stick with Veg purely because I think there's a level that defender he is setting such a high bar for himself every single week last season. This season he hasn't quite been at the races, and then this game it kind of just everything just kind of went right. I'm against a top class player. I'm against top class players here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to step it up. I'm just going to be the best I can be.
Yeah.
And whilst Matip is fantastic and Matip does a lot of great work in this game, I just have so much time for how easy Virgil van Dijk made it look. Like Joel Matip is breaking a neck to get back for Aubameyang, but there are times where Van Dijk outruns Pepe and Aubameyang, and it's like he's jogging, and it's ridiculous. Imagine spending that much money on somebody who is just not. Sorry, interesting things happening in the Lincoln Everton game constantly, but yeah. Imagine spending that much money on a winger, and then it turns out that he's just not as quick as a centre half.
That's what, yeah. But didn't Gary Neville say that? That's what he was, because he was obviously fuming at how good Liverpool are from Man United. The point where he was making was, you look at Arsenal, they spent 65 million on Pepe, and Liverpool spent about 30 on average 30 million each for what have you done?
I just got sent something by my mate. Sorry, carry on.
30 million each on average for Bobby, Mane, and they are world class.
I think
adding that right now.
I do understand what Neville's saying there, but I think you have to react to what it was, what the times were like when we signed those players. So, for example, Bobby Firmino was relatively unknown in the English game when we signed him from Hoffenheim. And then you think of when we got Mane, we're sitting there and £30 million, 35 million quid, was it? Something like that. Was a lot of money for Sadio Mane at the time because he was an inconsistent footballer from Southampton. And it came about the same time Man United spent 27 million on Henrik Mkhitaryan.
Wasn't that?
Yeah, exactly. It's around about the same time. And then a year later, Mohamed Salah joins. And he's had a very good season at Roma. But what happens about a month after Salah moves to Liverpool? What happens?
That was this one.
PSG, yeah, exactly. PSG come in and they spend a £200 million fee on Neymar. And all of a sudden, the prices for wingers just seem that little bit more absurd because Sadio Mane will outscore Neymar. Mo Salah will outscore Neymar. Well, actually, Mane as well. Why not? Well, these are good footballers, and they have been brought up to a new level. Don't get me wrong, but that's the whole idea of what Liverpool are trying to do.
Yeah.
Liverpool are trying to spend money wisely to get these players that they can develop onwards. But I think the reason we end up paying £75 million for Virgil van Dijk, alright, he's probably worth 200 million now in today's market, but the reason we end up doing that is because of the inflation of, say, for example, the Neymar transfer. And I'm not going to say we haven't inflated it at the same time by paying £75 million for a defender.
Sort of set the bar for the
Harry Maguire transfer, exactly, and the I Medical Poor transfer as well comes out 40 million quid he went for, but I think it's about the same time, isn't it, that we go for Van Dijk. So you're looking now, and you are looking at about 40 million quid for a top quality defender. And then the world class defenders and Harry Maguire are going for 75 million plus. So
how happy were you when you made this?
He's awful. He's awful. I'd maintain it. I think he's a good defender, but he's absolutely nowhere near 75 million quid. I can't believe Man United have actually had the fucking goal to do it, especially for an Englishman. If you're going to spend that much money on a defender, go out and buy someone who's going to fucking sell your shirts. Who the fucking hell in China is going to have Maguire on the back of their shirt? Do you know what I mean? You go out and you buy someone who will get you shirt signings in, for example, Spain.
You get the Koulibaly to get the...
Koulibaly, exactly. You get an African presence because there are loads of kids running around Senegal at the moment with Mane 10 shirts on.
Yeah, Egypt,
Exactly. Liverpool, and I'm not saying that's why Liverpool have went out and bought these players, but it has definitely had a factor from a business point of view. But even from a football point of view, even from a football point of view, Harry Maguire makes no sense because he's not good enough to play for Man United. He's not better than Victor Lindelof. He's not better than Eric Bailly. I've somehow ended up on here when I was doing my man of the match for the Arsenal game, but he's just not. He's just not better. Liverpool I would love to see the stats on how many shirts Liverpool now sell in Holland.
Yeah.
In the Netherlands with Van Dijk on the back. Virgil on the back. Because I bet you it's a few. I bet you we sell a few with Wijnaldum on the back as well. Yeah. But Maguire, I don't get it. I don't get it from a business point of view. Like the Sanchez one sort of made sense. The Sanchez transfer, because you'll make money on Sanchez shirts. You'll make money on Pogba shirts. Maguire, he's just not good enough. But yeah, I understand what Neville's saying about developing footballers and stuff like that, but I do think when you look at how the market's changed, even if you were buying somebody of Mane, Firmino, Salah's quality now, you're paying 75 million, you aren't paying 30 million. And it's just because of how football's changed since. Philip Coutinho was the quality of all three of them, and now he's 140 million pound when we sold him. And he, that's 6 months after Salah. I just don't think. I think the Neymar transfer has changed everything, to be honest, since then. And obviously we'll still reap the rewards of that, but I think we'd have. I honestly think if you sell Mo Salah in the same window later on, you probably ask him for 80 million quid.
Do you think?
His stats for Roma were incredible that year. I'm going to have to pull them up now, aren't I? But yeah, I mean, for a player of Mo Salah's quality, that same window, if Liverpool buy him 2 months later, they're paying double. Absolutely paying double. To the point we probably should give Roma a bit more money. But I mean, yeah, so it is Roma stats the season that we sign him, before we sign him. He had 15 goals in 31 league games. For an out-and-out winger. Yeah.
19, what you expect from a winger.
19 goals in 41 games in all competition. Now, obviously, he goes to Liverpool and then scores 44 and 51. And it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's obscene. It's absolutely ludicrous numbers. But he has that in his locker, and it's just because Liverpool just play him in a slightly more advanced role. But yeah, this is one hell of a game of football. But yeah, to summarise, Virgil van Dijk, man of the match. Okay, so looking forward to this weekend then. Burnley.
Yeah.
I guess we won't do too long on this because we've talked about that game for quite a while. Yeah. But I mean, it's one Liverpool have to be careful with. Liverpool are now the biggest target in the Premier League.
100% record. 100% Everyone record, wants to be the one to knock the points off again.
Exactly. Jurgen Klopp's already mentioned about how he's looking to rest a couple of players and rotate.
Is there going to be the international break afterwards though?
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean anything because you say that, but then you remember that Salah and Firmino and Mane are all going to be going off to the other side of the globe.
I'm sure it's is it friendlies this international break?
I honestly don't know,
because that's the thing. If it's, I genuinely think clubs like Liverpool will have a say on players like Salah and all that if it's just a friendly. Like I'm sure they have some sort of contract or whatever if they're playing in a certain stadium and they're like the whole Ronaldo thing in South Korea. They maybe need to make an appearance or so. But if it's a friendly, I think genuinely the club says, look, if you don't need to play him, don't play him. You need to rest. I don't know how much of the first 11 are called up. if everyone's if like they're all international friendlies, like Europe and South America and Africa and all that. But I don't get it. There's been a full week off. I just don't see why initially.
Yeah,
I can understand the standard rotation of someone else in midfield. Like that's what he's to keep it all fresh. I understand that, but like if he starts with like Shaqiri and Origi up front, like I don't see the point in that.
No, I probably agree. It's a fixture Liverpool rotated for last season, and then they go 1-0 down and have to bring Firmino on off the bench, and he scores with basically his first touch. So I don't expect Liverpool to approach this in a naive way or anything like that. I do expect Liverpool to still win this game.
They've been getting goals, like Burnley. You know, they have been playing.
They played very well so far this
they?
season. I mean, if we just look at the table now, Burnley are 6th at the moment.
Really?
So 4 points from 3 games. So 1-1 draw, 1 lost 1.
Who did
at
they
this
lose
point
against?
Arsenal.
Oh well, yeah.
So they have beaten Southampton 3-0, drew with Arsenal. Lost against Arsenal, and then drew with Wolves.
Oh yeah, because they had a 94th minute. Wolves had a 94th minute penalty.
Yeah, exactly, and they're very close to getting a result at Wolves, which is a difficult place to go, as a lot of teams found out this season.
I was counting on Wolves playing well. Captain Jota for me, team that absolutely backfired. But yeah, it's you can't.
Ashley Barnes has 4 goals this season as well.
Yeah, I'm tempted to maybe slip in the fantasy team.
Yeah, it's a game you can't really underestimate, but at the same time, you expect Liverpool to do business in.
That's like you would think on paper. Yes, Liverpool should be coming out with those 3 points, just as long as they don't go into the standard, don't go overconfident. Burnley, at Turf Moor, it's still going to be a tough game. The physical side of it as well. It's going to be pushing you around.
No, that's it, and I do think Liverpool have the last 2 seasons they've won both games there. I think they won 2-1 and then 3-1, so 4-1 this time, please. Prediction.
On behalf of Matt, 9-0.
No.
7-0 because it's an away.
Okay. I'm gonna go with 2-1. I don't think this is a comfortable win at all, because we are not allowed to enjoy a game of football ever again as Liverpool fans. But yeah, I do. It's a difficult one. 5:30 kickoff Saturday night. There's a lot of pressure on Liverpool, purely because I say there's a lot of pressure. There's pressure on Liverpool every week at the end of the day. But I mean, assuming Man City go and tonk Brighton, Liverpool won't be top. Liverpool will be a point behind.
Oh, so it's the standard. Like, I think I saw something on Sky Sports before the weekend's fixtures just gone, going on about, do you think it's advantageous for Liverpool playing first? I think they said it to Klopp, and they're like, it's 3 games in.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously there's always pressure because it's you're supposed to be winning it, but it's like you can't. It's 3 games in. There's just absolutely no advantage whatsoever for Liverpool play or City playing first.
Yeah, exactly, and you can't start looking at things like that. Admittedly, I mean, I've just done that to be a bit awkward, to be honest, but I do think there's a point where it's just...
You just got to play your game.
I think it doesn't matter until the second half of the season, if I'm honest. It really, really doesn't matter. That is an absolutely incredible goal.
Game over for
game over. Yeah, I do think that there's a... Yeah, there's no point in talking about those stats properly until the last 10-15 games of the season. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully it won't matter at all. Hopefully Liverpool come out with a comfortable
top of the table for the international break. And
exactly, that's what we're after. And Liverpool keeping hold of their perfect record would be lovely as well.
Yeah.
So what we'll do now is we'll move on. We are now going to talk a little bit about something that's probably out of our area, out of our comfort zone. Yeah, out of our comfort zone. And we're going to discuss Bury and Bolton, basically. So it's the topic of discussion for everybody at the moment, really. We won't do much on it because, as to fans of Premier League teams, we're not really in the know about it, but I feel like it does need mentioning because it's not nice to see anybody lose their club.
No.
So in the last 48 hours, as it happens now, Bury have been expelled from League One due to basically not being able to meet financial commitments. There's been ongoing issues for a long time regarding being able to afford to pay wages and stuff like that, and basically they haven't been able to fulfil any fixtures this season, so the league have kicked them out. Which is harsh when they got promoted last season from League Two, but they just haven't been able to.
I mean, I know it's nowhere near the monies that like the other promotions get.
Not enough to keep going. You get a little bit, but it's not. Like, the reason you get so much when you go from the Championship to the Premier League is because you're transferring from the English Football League to the Premier League, and it's a completely different, it's a completely different setup. So there's so much more sponsorship involved. The leagues, the lower leagues come as a package, basically. So it's Championship, League One, League Two, all balled into one, whereas the Premier League is a separate division on its own. So what's happened basically is the Football League in general have just said that they can't match. Sorry, they can't fulfill their games. They can't fulfill their obligations. So they're going to have to be removed from the league, which will basically start them on the lowest rung of football again.
Is it like what happened to, was it Rangers, where they have to go all the way down?
Sort of, yeah. It's sort of similar. It's whether or not they come back as a new company.
Oh, I see.
Bolton, on the other hand, I mean, I say that Bury have had a lifeline in the fact that they do believe that they've got somebody who will buy the club if the EFL will revoke the decision and allow them to carry on. We'll see how that plays out. I don't think it benefits anyone for them to not be in the league.
Yeah.
To be honest, I think, well, I say that it means that one less team will get relegated this season in League One.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think that's how they've we're going to do it. It's just that one team. The standard number will go up still, but just one less team.
And that, which is the typical way of dealing with it. And it could have been two as well, but for Bolton, who have been taken over in the last minute officially, so to stop the exact same thing happening. It all comes down to, basically, and what I want to talk about is that there's a lot of discussion as to who's to blame and who's at fault for this, and what could have been done. So there's a lot of people suggesting that Premier League clubs should have helped out.
Right.
And, local celebrities such as Gary Neville should be helping out as well, kind of thing. His mum plays a big role with Bury. She's been volunteering there for the last couple of days. So people are asking why he's not helped out.
He's focused on his own club.
Well, this is the thing. He's got other commitments. There are, and people saying why Premier League clubs can't help out. There are rules and regulations to stop clubs from doing it, because of the possibility of basically
creating a second team.
Exactly. Liverpool could quite easily have bought Bury out and then turned them into unofficial Liverpool
Tranmere
Rovers.
Rovers.
Exactly. If Tranmere went into the same difficulty, Liverpool could quite easily just turn around and go, all right, we'll buy you out, but we're going to send you
all of our reserves.
Yeah. We're going to sell you all our reserves because there's rules against how many loan players you can play. Yeah. So we're going to sell you all our reserves for like £1 each, and then we'll get them back off of you next season.
We'll pay the wages for you.
Exactly. We'll pay the wages for you. There's a precedent for that already. Teams do that. Man United are paying half of Alexis Sanchez's wages while he's at Inter Milan. But you could just quite easily do that and then buy them back a year later for £2 instead. You've got a player who's played in League Two for a year, who's got a little bit more experience rather than the reserve leagues, and is better for it. And you can kind of exploit them that way. You're talking about League Cup and FA Cup runs and stuff like that. So there is exploitation in there that could quite easily happen.
I understand from one point of view of like, I think for what it would take to save Bury, like, it's, you know, maybe one player's yearly wage or something stupid like that. I think the takeover is 7 million, you know, and people...
It's
like, ludicrous. That is just nothing.
It's something we laugh about. 7 million quid is something we laugh about because, we laugh about an 8 million quid fee for Andy Robertson. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. We sit there and we talk about how cheap that is and how, well, you know, Liverpool have got the best left back in the Premier League for 8 million quid. Yeah. You know, that fee keeps Bury afloat for another year. And it is ridiculous how much money is at the top of the game. However, I do believe in this circumstance that a lot of the criticism that's getting levelled at the likes of, at the Premier League clubs, particularly United and City, are getting looked at because Bury are a local team to Manchester, and they should be looked at as those two should be helping out. They're not allowed to. It's as simple as that.
Plus, who would make the last sort of like?
What benefit do they get?
Well, what benefit do they get? It gets maybe good press, but like it's then sort of like, oh, so it is literally just because of location that we have to. Well, it sounds horrible, but do you mean like we have to sort them out because they're our neighbours?
It's down to setting a precedent as well, because let's be honest here, if they go under, then you know you're looking at. Let me just try and think of an example. So let's go with Tranmere Rovers. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say Tranmere Rovers were to go under, and then Liverpool help bail them out, and you're looking at that, and you're like, oh, it's a good thing Liverpool have done there.
Really nice.
Exactly, really nice. What if another team in the area goes under and similar problems? It's a long way off. It's a long way off, before the perks. Alright, what if it's not in the area, but Liverpool have somehow
Preston North End.
I was going to say, it's not in the area, but it's kind of, we've ended up with a sort of affiliation with them. What if Accrington Stanley do the same thing? Exactly. What if they do the same thing?
Yeah.
And, you know, you turn around and you're looking at, all right, well, why aren't Liverpool helping out them
out as well?
Exactly. Why aren't they out now? I suppose I should have used Stockport or something like that, but whatever. But it does set a precedent that teams from above will just help out every time, and it shouldn't always fall on the Premier League. That said, the wealth in football isn't spread evenly, but there's also the point of who brings all the money into the English game. And if you look at how much money comes in because of Liverpool, because of Man United, because of Man City, Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, the big six clubs, even Everton, do you know what I mean? You're looking at the Premier League guaranteed teams, really, and they're the teams who bring money into the English game. Predominantly, obviously, other clubs do, but you know, there has to be a point where you just have to say, you know, the Football League hasn't taken enough responsibility in it because they are supposed to properly vet owners, and they, in this case, have dropped the ball twice.
How long has it been sort of suspect that Bury were going to
exactly.
struggle? How long have they been struggling for?
A long time so now. We're getting on for a couple of years.
Yeah, so that's what you were saying. You know, why haven't they?
It's not even so much that Bury was sold, I think, just before Christmas to their current owner for £1, and it was basically just seen as a way of them prolonging the inevitable that's just happened now. But
and that's where you say the EFL should have done something.
Exactly, they should have turned around and they should have stopped that from happening. And it's basically it's negligence on their behalf, really, because they have to turn around and they have to stop teams from being exploited. And it's happened with they aren't the first teams to struggle with bad owners.
I was about to say, it's not like this is just the first case that has happened. Yes. Like, there's been so many recently where you just say this club's about to go down. This, like, I'm trying to think of, wasn't Hartlepool about to go down? And it was only because Jeff Stelling is like their only sort of key, because like he's like probably one of the only fans who has that sort of money to save them. That he could, and it was just that sort of fortunate, like he could do that. But that's the thing. If it was any other, if say Jeff Stelling didn't support Hartlepool as his local team, what would have happened?
Exactly, and it's not just that club. I mean, just to name a couple, Portsmouth went through something similar.
Yeah.
Blackburn went through something similar with Venky's when they first came in because they didn't understand football. Coventry are currently having a dispute with, I think, their owners based on the stadium. I think Charlton are another team, and they're just this endless list of clubs that are just being taken over because Blackpool's the biggest one. Blackpool have only just got rid of their owners who were basically there. I think they were there when they were still in the Premier League, but they've just basically just stripped the club bare of everything that was valuable in it and just let it just fall down into nothingness again. And, you know, we're talking about a team who worked their way up the divisions and now are having to fight their way back up them again if they want to, you know, get anywhere near that level.
Yeah.
They did the double over Liverpool when they were in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's a really, really, really harsh situation for these clubs in the fact that I think people kind of want to just be on the gravy train. Do you know what I mean? So clubs, they see clubs, for example, like Blackpool, like Bournemouth, for example, you know, teams who work their way up the divisions and, you know, for what is probably considered a small investment, and they see that as an opportunity. I mean, Bournemouth's owners have obviously turned Bournemouth into a Premier League team, like a nailed-on Premier League team. They've been there for a good couple of years now. But they started out, they worked their way through from League Two, and I think they got consecutive promotions up to the Premier League.
Eddie Howe got them through the whole
thing. Yeah,
thing,
exactly, but it was after a takeover bid.
Yeah.
It was after a takeover. And so teams are looked at now as a way of, as an investment because people think that they can do that. Now, obviously, it doesn't work out that way every time. And
you sure? I'm getting Tranmere Rovers on FIFA and trying to...
I mean, I've done it with Footy Manager. I've done it with Tranmere on Footy Manager. We're currently sat in the... We're currently sat in the Premier League. We're about to start our first campaign in Europa. But yeah, I mean, I just think that there's a dangerous precedent in you know, Premier League clubs saving these other clubs. I think
once it's, as you say, once it starts, then it'll just keep happening, and it'll be just that expectation that they're just going to keep saving them.
Yeah, exactly. I do think there's a point where you reap what you sow, but I do think that it has to be looked at that the Football League hasn't helped out. I also do think, if I'm completely honest, I do think that clubs should be able to invest in other clubs. I do think that should be something that can happen. I understand that there's concerns with it, but you look at how La Liga and... I
was going to use the fact that City's owners do the ones in the MLS.
That's different.
But why can't them owners get by another club? Why couldn't FSG buy Tranmere Rovers?
Well, that's a different precedent, I guess, isn't it? I mean, I guess there's probably a conflict of interest in seeing that. I don't really know how it works, to be honest. I did think this recently, because surely they could. The thing is, Man City will never meet Sydney or New York City in competitive football, ever. Unless we're talking about the Club World Cup. The more interesting one, to be honest, is CSKA Moscow, who were owned by Roman Abramovich at the same time as he owned Chelsea.
The Red Bulls, Leipzig and...
Well, exactly. They meet each other in the Champions League and in the Europa League, sorry. And you know,
didn't the first time that happened, one of them had to, there was something they had to withdraw something.
There was a concern that they were going to have to because they couldn't be owned by the same company.
Yeah. Which
is, exactly what was going to happen. Well, what has happened, they've got Salzburg. They've got Salzburg, New York, Leipzig. I'm sure there's another one as well. I think there's one in Hungary or something like that. But it's... I understand the concerns with it, and there's a conflict of interest in the idea that one day Liverpool and Tranmere Rovers could meet. So say FSG do take over Tranmere, and then Tranmere end up in the Premier League, and then last game of the season ends up being Liverpool versus Tranmere Rovers for the Premier League. Yeah. And what does Tranmere have to do in that situation? Yeah. Tranmere are already guaranteed safety. Tranmere roll over, put out their reserves, they lash a striker in goal, take the fine, Liverpool win the Premier League.
Yeah.
There and then. And, it'd be there's a conflict of interest in that. But I do think that there's an aspect of what happens in Spain and Germany in terms of their reserve teams play in the leagues.
Yeah.
You know, whilst you can't have that because I think it's disrespectful to the smaller teams to...
Well, they considered doing that, didn't they? Where the Premier League 2 would just actually be part of one of the leagues. And it's only the fact that, is it this season, that they included the reserves to be included in the Checkatrade Trophy?
It's been for a good couple of years now. It's just the first time a lot of the big clubs have been involved in it.
Okay.
It's the first time Liverpool got involved in it is this season.
Okay.
We basically left it. You can opt in and out of it, and Liverpool just left it for a couple of years. But I think that was a way of basically adding a bit more value so that we'd care about the Checkatrade Trophy. We being fans of big clubs, we'd give a little bit of credence to the Checkatrade Trophy, and we'd kind of also Liverpool as a club would get the opportunity to play youngsters against good opposition, opposition of a decent standard in League 1 and League 2. Now, you know, maybe that hasn't happened, maybe it hasn't quite worked out, and some teams are furious about it as well because it does mean they have to play, you know, against reserve teams, and it is a bit condescending. But I just think that at this point in time now, if you want money to work its way through the ladders of the Premier League, from the Premier League, and you want to work it down through the Football League, then teams have to be allowed to invest. And I'm not saying that they have to be able to buy out teams, but maybe teams need to have a stake in an academy or something like that, where they can just basically turn around and say, all right, well, you know, you can raise him and you can have him here till he's 21, but then we want him, or something like that. And again, it's not going to be, it wouldn't be ideal because teams wouldn't be able to keep their best quality and stuff. But if they're going to lose them anyway, they may as well profit from a deal that they've had anyway established.
So just make a proper, like, rather than like forcing teams to clubs to be like, yeah, can you hand 5 million to 10 million to to Bury to keep them afloat for a year.
What do they gain out of it?
Well, that's what I mean. So like actually, but the worry is then you get horrible contract negotiations that just.
Well, we're talking about how the EFL have to step in for owners. Surely they can do the same thing for the negotiations part of it, and they can just check clubs aren't being exploited by the bigger clubs. Yeah. For example, if Man City can't own the entire of Manchester, do you know what I mean? They can't have a pool over the entire Manchester, and we're at a dangerous point where clubs are trying their best to get through football to the highest levels of football without getting forgotten about, because if you can't bring the money in now, you will just be left behind. And you see the likes of Salford City, who are bought out by owners, have loads of money thrown at them, and people aren't going to be able to keep up with that. And it will happen. Random clubs get bought out all the time by people who are good owners, or are willing to spend the money. And then for every one of them, there's 3 who buy them and don't realise what the upkeep that's involved.
Or they get palmed off to like a son or something. Like.
So I
know it's not the same. I'm just, you know what, I'm mentioning the 18-year-old owner for West Ham. I know it's women's, but still.
Yeah,
it's
Jack
not.
Sullivan. He's chairman of West Ham Women. Which is a bit of a strange one, to be honest. West Ham didn't have a women's team though, and the fact that they do have one now is good. But
yeah, I know, but what I mean, like, it could,
separate topic.
Yeah, I know. what I mean is, like, it could easily just be like, you know, some rich kid wants to, like, Daddy
bought them a football team, that kind of thing.
And they just don't know how to run a club. They have no business experience. They just think, oh yeah, football. Yeah, I'll get them to the Premier League dead quick in a few seasons.
Well, that's it. So I think. From that aspect, you know, it has to be managed properly, but I think there's a way of vetting it. There's a way of vetting it so that it can't just be the same Premier League clubs are all taking one on. Do you know what I mean? And
I think if they clocked on that City were suddenly owning every like at least 5 teams in all the lower leagues, then surely there's something wrong there. But
and maybe the investment ends the second that they get to the same league or something like that. But I mean, good luck to both. I hope both of them get sorted out. In particular, obviously Bolton have already hopefully been sorted.
They went.
Bury hopefully going to get sorted. We will await the outcome of that, yes. I guess. But from a football fan point of view, I can't imagine anything worse than waking up and your team not existing. So good luck. I hope everybody
fingers crossed
gets sorted, and everyone, not only from a football fan point of view, people who've got jobs there. Hopefully they all get sorted. Yeah. So I'm happy to wrap up with there. We won't be doing the best Liverpool team since Premier League. Hold on, what is it? Best football team since football started in 1992. 11. We aren't going to do that this week because it's something that me and Matt have to debate. We were going to do centre halves this week, and it was basically going to be Van Dijk, Hippier, and Agger against each other. So we'll do that next week instead. Jamie doesn't feel equipped to talk about one of those players.
I feel like as much as I do follow football, and I feel like I can have a good conversation with you and Matt about things. There's just moments where I think I've been sat on the couch listening to you two do this little segment, and you're just pulling, like, maybe you do have it on your laptops and I just can't see it, but you just mention games or stats just out the blue.
Yeah.
And it's just like memories, and I'm just like,
well, there's a reason we're doing this time period, and it's because we remember it. So we can't talk about the 70s and 80s, but we can talk about late 90s onwards, so that's what we've been doing basically.
Sorry, I feel like I wouldn't have done justice at all for the arguments.
That's completely fair. We'll pick that up again next week when Matt does return. I think Jamie's deputised very, very well this week.
I know I can't stand up to your
I don't know, you did pretty well this week, so an hour and 10 minutes isn't too bad a time.
The Carabao Cup draws just delaying too
long. So we've missed out on that one slightly. Hopefully Liverpool get a decent draw, because we've been drawing against Premier League teams for the last 2 years. So hopefully Liverpool end up with a draw. That means we might be able to rest a couple of players.
And a decent draw for the Champions League as well.
Yeah, the Champions League draws this Friday as well. I haven't checked the teams who've gone through because...
Oh yeah,
basically...
Ajax were on tonight, weren't they?
Yes, Ajax were on tonight, and
we decided to choose Everton to watch instead.
Yeah, we could have watched that instead. Ajax went through.
That's good.
So, yeah, I mean, great. It'd be great to see Ajax do well again this season. They've done well to keep hold of a number of their players, so we'll see. But that's it for this week. Next week we will talk about, I guess, the League Cup draw. We'll talk about post-Burnley. We'll talk about the Champions League draw. And we'll probably have a little bit of a look, even though it'll probably be slightly dated, we'll probably have a little look at agents and the role they play in football at the moment, because of incident that's come to light today with Bobby Duncan and his agent. So there's not enough time to fit it in this week, but there you go. So thanks very much for listening. If you like what you hear, please share this. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, Podbean, WordPress, YouTube, Podcast Addict, iTunes. There's probably more that I'm forgetting. Up the Reds.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.